For those of you that don't know, I have been a diehard Cowboy fan my entire life and have screamed, cried, broke shit, lit jerseys on fire, and looked at life in a different light because of my Cowboy fandom. Those of you watching this video, come along this ride of misery with me as I tell you why being a Dallas Cowboy fan is a gift sent from hell. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty, I want to acknowledge the Cowboy teams of the 90s. They were great, but I never got to experience their winning. For me, I have been in the Jerry Jones hellfire world since 1998, but I'm going to start off this ride back in 2006 during the wild card round. My first real Cowboy memory and the start of the most toxic relationship ever. The Cowboys were only 9-7 in 2006, but still found their way into the wild card round against the Seattle Seahawks. For many of y'all, this may be your first memory as well, but for any that don't remember the significance of this moment, I'll show you the clip right here.
19-yard field goal attempt. Oh, it is fumbled by Romo, and then Romo's going to run to the end zone, and he's going to get tackled by Jordan Babineau.
After Romo muffed this snap, I think everybody was just about done with him. I mean, we're talking about a guy who was an undrafted free agent and had a subpar season leading them to the wild card round. In 2006, Tony Romo threw for 2,903 passing yards to go along with 19 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Anyways, we all moved on from it and went to the 2007 season. But all of a sudden, it seemed Tony Romo actually might be that guy. He led the Cowboys to a 13-3 record to go along with over 4,200 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 19 picks. And all of a sudden, he became a Cowboy fan favorite. The Cowboys made the playoffs, and this was Romo's first shot to bounce back from the disaster in Seattle the year prior. And they were facing an inferior opponent, the 9-7 division rivals New York Giants at Texas Stadium. The Cowboys were a big favorite in this game, and rightfully so. They were one of the best teams all season. Dallas found themselves down 21-17 late, and Romo had the ball at the New York 30 to lead them on a game-winning drive. But instead, his last pass of this game was an interception and finished with an abysmal stat line. In 2008, the Cowboys finished 9-7 and missed the playoffs while having 6 Pro Bowlers. This will be a common trend throughout the entire video. The Cowboys draft extremely well, but oftentimes it doesn't really matter. Now, one can put the blame on Romo this season. His stat line wasn't the best, as he threw for 3,400 yards to go along with 26 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. But he also didn't have the best O-line or defense during these times. The 2009 season was more of the same for Dallas. Romo finished with good numbers and an 11-5 record to play the Philadelphia Eagles in round 1. To this point, for me, was the peak of being a Dallas fan. We had 9 Pro Bowlers, an up-and-coming young quarterback, and also got our first playoff win of my life, beating Philly in the wild card round 34-14. Things were looking really good for Dallas, and a run to the Super Bowl seemed like a legit possibility. That was until the Vikings beat the brakes off them 34-3 in the divisional round. To this point, Romo had a 1-3 playoff record, but surely he was going to get over the hump. At this point, he was still a relatively young quarterback with lots of room to grow. 2010 was a forgotten year. Romo only played 6 games while suffering a season-ending surgery, but Dallas did bring in 2 rookies that played a big role in the team's distant future, being Dez Bryant and Sean Lee. We also saw a coaching change happen halfway through the season as Dallas promoted OC Jason Garrett to be the new head coach. It seemed like the right move. Garrett finished with a 5-3 record with John Kitna leading the team as the quarterback. 2011 to 2013 can all be lumped into the same category. Dallas went 8-8 all 3 years and missed the playoffs all 3 years. Romo's play during this time saw a lot of ups and downs, and at this point, a lot of fans had kind of either grown to love him or hate him. A big reason for that hate was him losing games late. But Romo has 29 game-winning drives in his career, which is top 24 all time. In my opinion, to this point, the team just hadn't built up the O-line or defense well enough to give Romo a real shot to make a serious run. The positive takeaway from these times were the Cowboys added some serious talent through the draft, including Tyron Smith, DeMarco Murray, and Travis Frederick. By this point in 2014, a lot of us had grown tired of Romo and wanted something new. We literally had the same exact 3 seasons in a row and still believed in Romo, but something had to give, and something did. Dallas finished 12-4 while winning the NFC East, added Zach Martin in the draft to pair with Smith and Frederick to form arguably one of the greatest offensive lines of all time. DeMarco Murray had one of the best running back seasons of the 2010s, finishing with 1,845 yards to go along with 13 touchdowns. And Dez Bryant had his best season to this point, finishing with 1,320 yards to go along with a whopping 16 touchdowns. With Romo playing at a high level, DeMarco and Dez looking like the best running back receiver duo in the league, and the Great Wall of Dallas, fans finally felt something they hadn't in a while, and that was this team could actually win the Super Bowl. The Cowboys drew Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions in the wildcard round. The Cowboys were down 17-3 at halftime during this game, and things looked bleak. But after being down 20-7 midway through the third, Dallas turned it on late. DeMarco Murray punched in a 1-yard touchdown, Dan Bailey hit a 51-yard field goal, and Tony Romo threw the game-winning touchdown to Terrence Williams to come back and win their first game in postseason history while being down 10-plus points at halftime. This meant Dallas was going to Green Bay to face Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, looking for a win to reach the conference championship for the first time in almost 20 years. This was a really good, hard-fought game, and honestly one of the few games where they just got unlucky. It was a back-and-forth battle between Romo and Rodgers, and yes, you guessed it. It came down to the Dez Bryant catch.
32 with under 5 minutes in the game. Blitz is coming. He throws a deep ball to the left side, and the ball is Bryant. Caught the ball. I do not know how Dez.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain possession of the football.
That was the worst heartbreaker to that point in my life. I was truly devastated and didn't know what to think. But I had confidence in this team. They were that close to a conference championship and then that much closer to punching a Super Bowl ticket. But as they say, all things that go up must come down. After experiencing a heartbreaking but promising season and postseason, things just fell apart bad in Dallas in 2015. Romo once again got hurt, and Dallas was stuck with the trio of Brandon Weeden, Matt Castle, and Kellen Moore. Cowboy fans weren't panicking, but there was some real concern over Romo, who at this point was 35 and coming off another major injury. Regardless, us Cowboy fans still felt good going into 2016. We still had Romo, Dez, our great O-line, and some studs on defense. The 2016 draft, though, is what changed the direction of the Cowboys franchise. They took Zeke, Jalen Smith, and some backup quarterback in the 4th round. Even though Romo was coming off a major injury, the coaching staff still decided to give him some run in the preseason. Romo took an awkward hit during their first preseason game, and that was pretty much the last we saw of him. But little did we know, Dak Prescott quietly looked pretty good in the preseason. As a realistic Cowboy fan, I thought for sure the season was done with and that we were pretty much screwed for the rest of the season. After a 20-19 loss against the New York Giants on opening day, everything changed. Dallas had won 11 games in a row, and Dak and Zeke were having the best rookie seasons of all time. As a Cowboy fan to this point, we were done with Romo, and it was now Dak's team. Dak and Zeke looked like they would be leading this team for the next 10-plus seasons. Dallas ended up going 13-3 with Dak and Zeke both winning awards, and Dallas looking like arguably the best team in the NFL. Dak looked like the next Tom Brady, Zeke looked like the next Emmitt Smith, and the offensive line was arguably the best of all time. So, after clinching the 1 seed in a first-round bye, Dallas once again faced a familiar foe, being Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Dallas found themselves down 28-13 midway through the third quarter, and it pretty much looked like a wrap. But all of a sudden, they started chipping away.
End zone, touchdown, Witten. Bryant, touchdown.
At this point, overtime looked destined, and Dallas seemed destined to come out on top. That was until...
Comes underneath, and the pass is incomplete, out of bounds. Now they say complete. Championship game. It is good. The Packers are moving on.
This one honestly just hurt more than the previous Green Bay loss, just because we had fallen in love with this rookie pair, and the comeback was insane. But this stuff happens, and it really didn't matter because we had Dak and Zeke for the foreseeable future. Through the first 8 games in 2017, things looked good. We were 5-3, the O-line was still elite, Dak was playing well, and Zeke was on pace to have another monster year. That was until Zeke was hit for a 6-game suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy. Dallas went 4-4 in their next 8 games and missed the playoffs, going 9-7. At this point, fans were starting to point the finger at Jason Garrett, and rightfully so. The guy had been there forever with loaded rosters and still couldn't get over the hump. In 2018, Zeke was back to doing his thing, finishing the year with over 1,400 rushing yards to go along with 6 TDs. And Dak at this point had full control over the offense, but he needed some more receiving help. Dez was gone at this point, and the Cowboys' starting receiver core was Cole Beasley, Michael Gallup, and Allen Hurns. 9 weeks into the season, Dallas traded a first-round pick for Amari Cooper, and it immediately looked like a great move. In 9 games played, Amari finished with 725 receiving yards to go along with 6 touchdowns. Dallas ended up winning the East with a 10-6 record and went on to face Seattle in the wild card round. In a back-and-forth game, Dallas ended up winning 24-22 and once again was one win away from punching their ticket to an NFC Championship game. Dallas went on to face the Rams in the divisional round, and although the final score was somewhat close at 30-22, this game really wasn't that close in reality. Todd Gurley and C.J. Anderson ran all over them and ended once again a season that didn't live up to expectations. Dallas started off 2019 good at 6-4, but suffered a late season collapse and finished 8-8, missing the playoffs. This season didn't gather too much excitement, but there was one big move. Dallas finally let go of the clapper Jason Garrett and brought in big Mike McCarthy after he had a sleepover with Jerry Jones. McCarthy wasn't the sexiest hiring, but at the very least, fans felt more confident with him than Jason Garrett because of his Super Bowl pedigree. Unfortunately for Big Mike, Season 1 was derailed after Dak suffered a season-ending injury against the New York Giants in Week 5. Although, Dallas did bring in a few new key pieces, being CeeDee Lamb and Trevon Diggs. 2021 was where things seemed to take a legitimate turn for the boys. Dak had his best season to this date, finishing with 4,449 yards to go along with 37 passing touchdowns. And the Cowboys' weapons were legit. Although Zeke looked like he was starting to decline, Tony Pollard emerged as a quality back, CeeDee Lamb took a jump in year 2, and Dalton Schultz looked like a promising tight end. But the biggest addition, arguably the biggest key for the Cowboys going 12-5 this season, was by far the addition of Micah Parsons. Micah had one of the best rookie seasons we have ever seen, winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, and was also a legitimate Defensive Player of the Year candidate. This really seemed like a turning point for Dallas, and looked like Big Mike and Kellen Moore may have unlocked Dak's real upside. This was the first time since Dak and Zeke's rookie year where Cowboy fans felt their team had a true ceiling of being a Super Bowl winner. Dak and Dallas drew San Fran in the wild card round, and we saw a familiar script once again in the playoffs. Dallas was down 16-7, but started to fight back and got the game within 6 points late.
To get to the quarterback here. Prescott takes off running the football. Whoa, I don't think this is going to work out.
It will. They'll be able to clock this. They were planning for it. It's down. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, the official gets in the way. The game's over.
Gosh.
Even if Dak spikes that ball in time, Dallas probably still loses the game, but the fashion they lost this game hurt really bad. At this point, a trend was setting in. Dallas just can't make it happen during the playoffs, and when the lights are the brightest, they take a crap in their pants. The 2022 regular season was essentially the same as 2021. Dallas once again went 12-5, Dak put up good numbers, and Micah had the defense firing on elite levels. At this point, though, myself and many fans had lost hope that they could actually do something legit come playoff time. Dallas drew Tom Brady and the Bucs in the wildcard round of the playoffs. Dak had his best playoff game to this point, throttling the Bucs, winning 31-14. Because of this performance, us fans had naturally gained some hope again, and we started asking ourselves, can this team finally get over the hump? Well, if they were going to get over the hump, they'd have to get by the 49ers once again. The answer to that question was a flat no. Dallas lost 19-12 in a very winnable game, and Dak was abysmal. At this point, me and many Cowboy fans didn't really care about the regular season. We have seen this team perform elite oftentimes in the regular season. Dallas ended up going 12-5 for the third consecutive year, and going into the playoffs by this point, I had lost faith. Even though Dallas looked like a legit Super Bowl team in the regular season, they were just so unscheduled to blow it all up come playoff time. Dallas drew a favorable matchup by getting Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers in round 1. But, as expected, Dallas got absolutely throttled. The final score was 48-32, but this game was never close for a second. Dak had early mistakes that were too much to overcome, and the defense got absolutely cooked. All of this took place despite having 10 Pro Bowlers on the roster. And then we bounce on to last season. By this point, I was ready to clean house and tear it all down. We've seen Dak for 7 seasons play elite in the regular season, but he only had 2 playoff wins at this point to show for it. Dallas had a big decision to make. Dak was playing on an expiring deal, and the logical thing would be to let him play it out and see if he could actually earn his money by getting this team over the hump. By this point, we're approaching 30 years of not only winning the NFC, but appearing in an NFC championship game. But right before opening day, Dallas decided to give Dak a 4-year, $240 million contract extension, so he's not going anywhere. Dak played in 8 games last year, looking downright terrible at times, before once again getting injured and missing the remainder of the year. Cooper Rush started the remainder of the season to what was once again a lost season. Now, in 2025, I personally have zero faith in the Cowboys to do anything. They could have not re-upped on Dak and started from scratch, but now we are stuck with him and paying a few guys top dollar with minimal depth. Jerry Jones does not care about winning the Super Bowl. All he cares about is making the team marketable, which they are with Dak. Also to mention, the Cowboys let go of Mike McCarthy and hired Brian Schottenheimer to be the new head coach. Schottenheimer is arguably the least qualified head coach hire we've ever seen. Dallas will more than likely be pretty bad over the next few seasons, and I personally will not have any faith in this organization until there are major changes within the roster and the organization.